I'm Tom, and in this video, I'm going to demonstrate my idea of using magic and storytelling to facilitate students' science conceptual change. First, I'm going to introduce the general background for my study. As we all know, students enter science classes with their own conceptions, and these conceptions sometimes are not correct, which are regarded as misconceptions. And these misconceptions or ideas are firmly held in their mind as it's very hard to change. And in order to facilitate the conceptual change, several researchers have put forward different conceptual change models. And in these models, motivation always play an important role. The reason for that motivation is so important for conceptual change is that students' misconceptions are formed based on their own experience, and they are not willing to change that unless you demonstrate and you make them realize there's a need to change and the change is necessary. A common way used by most of science teachers or researchers is to help them get get students to achieve meaningful conflict. Basically means you make them realize what they believe is conflict with science phenomenon or science reality, and what they believe cannot be used to explain what happened. And but the problem is which way is the best way to help them achieve such meaningful conflict. And after achieving such meaningful conflict, how to lead them to change their misconception and build new conception. So my idea was to use magic tricks because I believe magic is fun, it's engaging, and can motivate them to learn something new. And it can create a meaningful conflict. Usually, the magical effect brought by magic tricks is counterintuitive. The students always ask me, how did you do that? They are curious about the secret behind these magic tricks. And we can turn this such movement and take advantage of such movement into turn it into a inquiry-based learning and to explore the secret behind it at the same time to learn something new. And the most important thing is most of the secrets behind these magic tricks are related to science. So which makes me believe that magic tricks uh, may become the potential role or effective tool to change their misunderstandings. So the main purpose of study will explore how to use magic tricks and storytelling to facilitate students' conceptual change. And a theoretical model or framework will be proposed to indicate the theoretical background of sports for such iteration. And if it is possible, a magic trick-based curriculum will be put forward finally. And based on my purpose, I put forward the research questions. The first question is, how can storytelling and magic tricks be used to motivate students to become involved in the conceptual change process? And how does magic intervention influence students' attitude toward learning science concepts? And in what way do students explain science concepts drawing on such intervention? And I already did a pilot study, and this pilot study is very informal. I just got two 14 years old participants, and the misunderstanding, the misconception I want to change is based on this question: what forces are acting on you right now? And most of the students, including some adults, may answer gravity. And they ignore the supporting force pulling people upwards given by the earth. And I try to change this misunderstanding. I try to help them realize the supporting force is also existed. And the way I use is the magic trick I used is a very classic one. Makes a feather float in the air or suspended in the air. And the secret behind it is Some materials are given give the feather a supporting force so as to keep it floating in the air, and I want to lead students to explore and find such a secret behind it, and so as to help them learn supporting force and the related concepts. So this is basically what I did. Um, First, I used Harry Potter to demonstrate a scenario that the teacher is teaching students how to learn make the feather float in the air, and I asked them, "Do you believe that it can happen in reality?" And both of them say no, and they know that gravity exists. But after showing the video, I used magic tricks to make that happen, and they got shocked. They can't believe that it happened in reality. And when I asked them why, one boy gave me answer, "Wow, you define gravity." And I think I answered, yes, I define gravity. In order to define gravity, we need to give the feather a supporting force, right? But the question is, where the force coming from? And so I turned it into a inquiry-based learning process. And at that moment, the students really want to know the answer behind it. Where is the supporting force coming from? And then I give them some teaching materials or exploring materials, and to help them learn some related concepts like supporting force, or how to balance a balanced force balanced state, and something like that. And finally, I hope to, and also I give them some very concrete examples to analyze. And finally, I hope I can change their misconception about the supporting force. I want to make them realize, when standing on the ground, supporting force is also given by the earth. And based on what I did, I also developed the preliminary conceptual framework. So, and this is the first these parts represent the teaching activity I did in reality, and these parts represent the cognitive process happened in their mind. Okay, first I show them the movie, and they make such prediction that feather cannot fly in reality. And then I make magic tricks to make it possible. And it's create a cognitive conflict in their mind. They began to ask why. And then I define the problem for them, and then try to define problem, and these these raise their or stimulate their curiosity. And then I turn it into an exploring process. And my guidance, they began to explore the secret behind it. And this is where conceptual change began. They began to assimilate new information and accommodate this new knowledge into their original conceptual structure. And finally, when they identify and explain the solution, the new conceptual structure formed in their mind. And after that, I debrief about what they learned today, about the knowledge they learned today, and this gonna enhance the new formed conceptual structure. So my methods about the methods about my research, I'm gonna use a design-based research to guide my research, guide my study. Right now, my idea is pretty small, and I want to connect more magic tricks which can be used to facilitate the conceptual change and develop them into a science magic show. And I hope I can take this magic show into local schools so I can get more experience and keep refining my idea. And I hope finally I can expand my idea and bring it into classes, science classes, and this is my final goal. And finally, I hope the magic-based curriculum will be developed finally. And during this process, the quantitative and quantitative research methodology will be used, such as interviews, surveys, and observations. And then the significance of my study are, this study will provide insights into what the rules played by magic tricks and storytelling in such science conceptual change process. And that study will provide science teachers with theoretical and practical guidance of how to use magic tricks and storytelling to facilitate students' conceptual change. And this study will make a contribution to STEAM education, not STEM, because magic tricks is art. It's what I did is actually incorporate art into class. So yeah, this is about my research, and thanks for watching. You can feel free to give me any comments. Thank you.